Welcome back to Teachable Moments with April podcast. I am your host, April. Inspire, host, create, explore endless new possibilities, next level broadcasting. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and so many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. Today's content is from crosswalkplus.com. What is hyssop in the Bible and why do we wash in it? By Melissa Henderson. What is hyssop? Have you heard or read about using hyssop in cooking? Perhaps you have read about hyssop in the Bible. Maybe you've been asked the question, what is hyssop, during a Bible study? Or you may have asked the question, what is hyssop, during quiet time? When seeking the answer to what is hyssop, we can search on the computer or in books or discuss with scholars or clergy. There is always an opportunity to learn something new. Hyssop is a small bushy plant with minty leaves which can be used in cooking. The plant has also been used for medicinal purposes. In Scripture, hyssop is a wild shrub used for purification. Scripture shares how hyssop was used as a sign of spiritual cleansing. Psalms 51:7. Hyssop played a special role in history. This shows us that people were not the only ones to have an important role. Plants and animals were used for unique purposes. We learn in the book of Exodus that hyssop was used to sprinkle blood over door frames at an important time. The hyssop itself was not attached to the door frames. The plant was used for applying the blood as instructed by God. Scripture tells us that Pharaoh was in a conflict with God about the fate of Israel. The Egyptians of that time believed that their firstborn sons were gods. God had sent plagues including things like reptiles, insects, hail, and darkness. Pharaoh still not going to change his way of thinking. Pharaoh refused to release Israel from slavery. When he refused, God responded in a significant way. A plague of death came and covered all the firstborn Egyptians. This includes Egyptian children and animals. Yet Pharaoh still refuses to let the Israelites out of slavery. God gives specific instructions to Moses to give to the people. Each family is to take a 1-year-old lamb or goat without blemish and sacrifice that animal. If a family could not afford or didn't have a lamb or goat, they were instructed to join with another family. Specific details were given to the people. The animal was to be slaughtered, roasted, and eaten at night with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. Exodus 12 verses 1 through 14. The people were told what to wear when they consumed the animal and how to eat the food. Then more instructions were provided. The people were told to take some of the blood in a basin and place it on the doorposts and above the door of the house. They were instructed to use hyssop branches to apply the blood on the doorposts. God said he would pass through the land of Egypt that night and strike down every firstborn in the land, both humans and animals. The blood on the doorposts would be a sign. When God saw the blood, he would pass over that particular house. Can you imagine the sights and sounds of the time? Movies have portrayed the scene. Loud cries of the families of firstborns as death came. Darkness all over the land. Were the people who obeyed afraid, or did they have full trust in God? Consider the size of relief as death passed over the households with blood on the door frames. Since hyssop was the plant God told the people to use, hyssop must have been readily available. Where did it grow? Perhaps beside the road, perhaps next to the house where the people resided. Wherever hyssop grew, the people were to obtain the plant and follow the directions to save their firstborn. This passing over is the religious holiday called Passover, which remembers when God used Moses to free the Israelites. Passover is celebrated by Jews in spring and lasts 7 or 8 days. The first night of Passover includes a special meal called Seder. The people remember the history of the Israelites and the way God passed over homes with blood on the doorposts. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thanks for listening to Teachable Moments with April. If you did enjoy this episode, I invite you to come right back to check out my podcast and my other episodes. Don't forget to listen, add us to your favorites, and support by clicking on the link in the description. As always, be blessed and be well. Until next time.